I think this is the first time I've seen you wear black.
I don't ever wear black.
No?
I don't hate.
Do you have a lot of black stuff in your...
No. I was actually going to wear this dress in like tan, and then I was like, I don't want to be
Do you have that same one?
I have it in 3 colors. Girl things.
Is that the Shein?
Yes.
What is it? Shein? How do you say it? Shein?
Sponsor me, Shein.
Sponsor me. Sponsor me, please.
Sponsor me. It's actually one of my goals of this podcast is to get like, I've been looking cute as shit, right?
Okay, if you had to pick between like that or like a Fashion Nova, what's another one?
Fashion Nova, Shein,
What's the other one? I can't remember the other one that was popular.
Tamu.
Tamu. What's that?
But it's Temu, but it's pronounced Tamu. That's another big one.
Isn't the Shein one the one where they're like they show people like writing hidden messages on like?
Like,
do you think that's real?
Like, help me. Yeah, I'm sure there's probably some truth to that. Like, oh, look at the stitching. It's like looks so nice. But what does that say in there? Help me with some blood. I mean, it's fashion, fast fashion.
Oh man! All right, guys. So we are back to the Tell No Lies podcast, episode 7 today. We're pumping through them now.
Moving and grooving.
Remember, we said 5 was the 1%.
Yeah.
So I'm back again. Devin Physique is your host and the lovely co-host. I got to do it again. Dr. Ashley Contorno.
Hello, everybody.
Yes. All right. So what are we talking about today? What's the topic of discussion?
On the agenda is, I feel like it kind of fits with things we've been talking about. I'm responsible for kind of creating the agenda. That is my creative influence on this podcast.
It is.
Devin
You do an exceptional job.
All of it. He edits all of it. All those clips you're watching, the actual videos you're watching, that's my man right here. So I feel like where I need to step in and use my skill set is this. I got my little,
the notes. Yeah, because if I was doing that, there would be a lot of chaos.
Yeah. I want to talk about the fitness influencing industry because you're a fitness influencer. You've been a fitness influencer. I would not call myself an influencer, even though a lot of people do. But I would say I'm like a very, very micro influencer. You're more of a macro influencer.
Well, through your period, what would you because you've kind of used it in a leisurely way, but also sometimes in a business way, right? It's kind of teetered that line.
Yeah. I would say that I've tried harder at times to be an influencer than like at this point, I'm like, you watch my content, you watch it. You don't. I don't, there's a part of me that doesn't feel genuine aligning with brands. Like I only have one promo code and it's for Amino Asylum and it's Veggie20. And if you want some products from there.
Oh, there's the
Veggie20, she's back. But like, I only believed in doing stuff I actually subscribe to. I'm at products I'm actually using. So being an influencer, that's kind of like a little bit of a crosshairs. If it's like, oh, I want to get paid to promote products, but it's like, what am I going to be picky and choosy about every single product? Only the ones that I'm currently taking. But like, that's kind of the name of the game. Like you've had a lot.
Yeah, I think one of the big thing for something like that I always prided myself on, because you can, like, there's a lot of people you see where it's like they're promoting everything under the sun.
Right.
And then how does it seem authentic?
Right.
And I think that one thing that I always strive for was I wanted to make sure that the brands that I was representing or working for, they aligned with my goals. There was not an amount of money or, all those different circumstances that was going to dictate, am I going to be with this brand? I think there's a lot of people that will just, oh, you're going to pay me $1,000? Oh, you're going to pay me this? All right, I'll promote it. And that's where it could be where it's like, dude, this person, he or she is like promoting everything under the sun.
Right.
So like you said, it does make sense, like where you didn't want to feel like, with these brand deals and stuff that you're just having so many things. You want to be strategic about who are you working with.
Yeah, I didn't want to sell out. I wanted people always to buy into what I'm doing because I'm genuinely doing it. So that's why I think I never really went far in influencing, because I'm like, I don't really care. And to be honest, there I know there's a scale, right? Like you were making thousands and thousands of dollars a month to be somebody's brand as opposed to be a brand representative where, I think at one point I got hired with like a CBD company and I was making like $250 a month. Like, yeah, there's a lot of drops in the bucket you can make, but at what point is $250 here, $100 there, like really worth all the effort that you're curating and putting into all this content for, at the end of the day, somebody else's business? Mm-hmm. I'm just a businesswoman where I'm like, I would rather be the business.
Correct.
And have people.
So with what's the company you said you're with?
Right now?
Yeah, that
Amino Asylum.
Okay, so what would make you feel like there's something there with them to want to promote them, knowing that you're promoting their business and not your own?
I mean, right now it's because it's products that I use.
That you use.
Yeah.
Correct. Yeah, I think that's the big thing too, because like we talked about too, it's like there's a lot of people that are promoting a product that they don't even actually believe in or even take.
Right. And they're like, oh my God, you guys, you got to try this skinny tea. Like we were talking about.
Yeah, those were the big things. Yeah, all those different like I mean, I'm sure there's still now. They have a lot of those like
sure.
random ones where, again, people are like, oh, lose weight quick, buy this. And people are just impulsive. Oh, I'm going to look like that? All right, I'll buy it.
Yeah. I mean, so the fitness influencer kind of launched from 2012 to 2015, which was exactly when Shredz was capitalized.
Is that what it said statistically?
That's statistically when the fitness influencer became a thing during
Which
that
is
time
literally
period.
our period.
Yeah.
That's when it was, because I was out of it, and Shred's downfall was 2015.
Yeah.
Which is like right in conjunction with that little window.
Yeah. Which is crazy. So Gymshark, Fit Tea, Shredz, those are like some of the ones that were very popular at that time. And it's always been about aesthetics over actual qualifications. Like it's totally just quantity over quality. And I'm not saying like you're not a quality human, but if you didn't look the way that you looked, you would have never became who you were.
Correct.
And that's almost all fitness
Well,
influencers.
just like I said in that when I was telling the story, they recruited me because of the fact that I was already ahead of the game on the Instagram thing, right? We had the following. Like everyone that they recruited was already at that like 10K mark, which back then was like 1 million.
Yeah.
So it makes sense. Like I said, we're obviously in that realm of fitness. We have a huge following compared to everyone else. So we're a prime candidate to be a part of this company.
Right.
You know, like you said, it didn't have credentials because back then when I was getting into it, I had no credentials. I wasn't a certified personal trainer. Like even when we started doing those meal plans, I remember we said to ourselves, like, we need to get a cert because what happens if I, create this meal plan for someone and something happens liability wise, and then they come back at me and try and sue me.
Right.
So it definitely piggybacks what you said about like there's a lot of people where how many people have credentials to back what they're selling?
You don't know.
No.
And it's hard to say. And like, honestly, like a lot of times, like certifications, I feel like expertise, I would rather have expertise over a certification because anyone can go online and get a certification in anything nowadays. You can get a doctorate online. Literally, you can go purchase one from some weird place. And it's like, how do you even know that that person has any merit in what they're teaching?
There's no criteria on which one you need to have, right? Like if I wanted to sell a meal plan right now, well, we obviously know you don't even need to have one at all.
Right.
I could just look the part and someone buys my meal plan and I have 0 certification and there isn't anything that could regulate on a social media platform what you need to have in order to be qualified.
Right.
Right? Like what is there? There's like NASM. What's the
There's
other
a
one?
lot.
Like there's so many, right?
Yeah.
I could go online right now. I think that's what I did was I went online and I just did the most basic course and paid like a couple $100. But there is the NASM where you're paying a couple thousand, you're running the course. Now, how do you distinguish like that value there? Like some people need the NASM because they don't have any education on training or anything like that. I feel like in the time period when I was working out, I was learning a lot of things that a normal person wasn't going to learn that they'd have to go to NASM for.
Right. I feel like that would be on the consumer then to kind of do their research and say, okay, this person has this certificate and this person went to Cleveland State University and this person went to Harvard. Like,
and how much does that matter to you?
Right. And then, but I think the one thing that's great about getting a certification in any sense of the world is that can allow you to get insurance. And if you're selling people stuff, meal plans, exercising people in real life, like you need to have insurance because I've been sued many times in my life. Like people sue.
Yeah, they'll find a way.
And it's not like when you think it's going to happen, it's usually something you didn't even plan for, but that way you're protected because who knows? Like someone could just be going out just to get you. You don't know that. You don't know. Anyone can be anyone. And that goes on both sides. I think it's a lot more times the influencer or someone that's online is pretending they're someone they're not versus the consumer. But a consumer can be anyone as well. You don't know that.
Well, and now we have like the AI, which even takes it to a whole nother thing. It's like it's not even you anymore.
Right. It could be it could be just some ChatGPT writing it for you. Okay, this is something that is like big to me that I hate, that is so prevalent still, is fake followers.
Uh-huh.
We know people who buy fake
do.
followers, who buy views, who buy engagements. Like I will admit I had a bot at one point. When we first opened the gym in 2018, Steven, myself, and the gym, we got bots. And at that point, 2018, the bots were so rudimentary. All it could do was like people's posts and then a preset like number of comments, it would rotate them on other people's posts. It wouldn't follow, it wouldn't, so the point is to get engagement where they would like you back, follow you back, whatever. But I remember distinctly, like one of the things, I was trying to put the most generic phrases in there, like rad, cool pic.
It was automatic comments, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
And I remember my bot put like cool pic on someone's death post of their mom dying. Like that was rad, cool pic. And like, I was just like, this is when I need to end the bot. And I ended the bot.
Now, what made you guys do the bot? Was it because that's what what people were doing?
Yeah, it was like our kind of grassroots way of trying to grow our social medias. We only had them for a couple months, and then we realized it was a bad idea, and we were growing ourselves organically enough. But like, I tried it. It's enticing to try because it's like, how are you going to beat the algorithm? How are you going to get on top when you're trying to promote a brand or product when you don't have hundreds of thousands of followers? Like, at the time we opened the gym, I think I had like 17 or 18,000. I have 36 now, and I feel like half of my followers are probably fake.
Well, on top of that too, like there's also nowadays there's flooded with fake like accounts that are just you get DMs where it's like nonsense all day. Like I get a bunch of random ones, so I feel like mixed in with people potentially buying followers and also the flooding of like spam and all that. Because remember what I told you that story about with the Shredz thing, like how I gained so many followers in the beginning was because I realized the algorithm wasn't as advanced as it is now.
Right.
And back then it was however many or how many likes you received in 30 minutes based off the ratio of following that you had was going to predicate how much that was going to keep getting pushed to more. So I don't know the ratio, but let's say you had 5,000 followers. Well, if I'm getting 500 likes off 5,000, that's a great ratio.
Yeah.
So I manipulated the system back then, and I was buying likes just for my post because it was skyrocketing me. Well, nowadays it doesn't do that. Now people are just inflating with likes to make it seem like they're more popular than they are.
Now it's the opposite. Now it'll push you out of the algorithm.
Correct.
Because it knows that you'll get flagged for faking followers and stuff like that.
Yeah, nobody's getting just an absurd amount of randomness on their page for only 30 minutes and then it stops.
I mean, I was tagged in a post with someone who the likes outpaced the views at some point, and I was like, oh, this is fake.
Yeah, how do you have 10,000 likes but only 20,000 views? That doesn't even make sense.
And then I refreshed my screen and now it's at 300,000 views or whatever. But you can tell it's fake if you're tagged in it or if you're watching it, because the watch time, it doesn't reflect that it's real. So I remember we
were comparing the watch time like that.
Yeah.
But I think that's just like anything else when we talked about the Photoshop and how that's still relevant now. Even when I was in those periods of Photoshopping, like I said, when we were doing it, I think it was just the expectation in your brain of like, I have to keep up this expectation of how people perceive me and all these other things that I think that you get caught up in, like almost like a sickness.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. Like, is it for you as the content creator
to make you feel good,
right? Like, do you get to this point where you have to have this validation of that many likes, like, or like a lot of people turn off their likes because you turn off your likes because you don't like to see it because it can mess with your brain.
I remember, I mean, for a lot of years, I mean, even till sometimes now, like for a lot of years, I remember I'd create pieces of content, and if in that first hour it didn't get as many as I want, I would delete the post, and I'd be so discouraged and up in arms about it. And we would always have these conversations within Shredz. I'd have numerous conversations with Joey. We're like, why didn't this perform well? Like, we would get so upset that it wasn't performing. So I do believe that that's part of the game too, is you have this overwhelming expectation of like, just post. Like, it doesn't matter how many likes it gets, like you post what you want to post.
Right.
And I think we build this high expectation of like, oh, if it doesn't perform well, we're a piece of shit.
Yeah, it's like your own personal validation.
Correct.
I'm at the point where, and I wonder how many people actually critically look at someone's account like this. Like, now you can buy the blue check, right? Before you had to apply, and only if you were validated and found to be a legitimate influencer or celebrity or whatever would they give you the check. Now for $20 a month, anyone can have the check. And
Correct.
People think that gives you some type of validity. But now, to me, that's just diluted.
Because everyone can do it.
Anyone can have it.
Correct.
So it means nothing.
Because I remember in the Shredz days, we were so connected with Instagram because they were doing so much ad spending that we had the in. And I think they had access to going to the Shredz Instagram headquarters, and we were able to get us all verified like authentically. Because you had to have like documentation to prove that you were someone. It had to be like on the internet. You had to have enough information about you that validated you were like a verified person. But like you said, and what does that even give you now other than, just to say you have it? Now, like you said, it's diluted.
I think you get extra tools, like brand tools.
But that's their way of selling you to buy.
Right.
Like, they got smart over time and said, we're losing out on a big market with this check mark where we can give everyone authenticity, quote unquote, but we can also make money. I mean, because how much do you pay for it monthly? I think it's like $15.
No, it's 20, I think.
Oh, is it? So imagine how many people are on this blue check mark that are paying that they weren't making money from to begin with.
Oh, it's millions and millions of dollars. All right, we're going to look at this up in real time because we need to know. How much is the blue check on IG? Dun, 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 dun. Okay. Oh, it's $14.99.
Still, I mean, that's still,
$11.99 when you subscribe from the web, and 14.
I think you get a discount, or I think there's a discount if you link, because you can also do Facebook too.
Okay.
So like you can get Facebook and Instagram and pay like, I think it's like $20 or 20. You know how they do the deals, right? Two for this price, one for this price. It's more enticing to get the two. But I tried it because I'm already verified, but I tried it to see what does it change anything for me. I think all you get is the access to like being able to message somebody directly if you're having issues with stuff. You do get like little like random things that are perks for it. That was the main thing that benefited me, was like if I had an issue with my account or something like that, I could message someone directly that works for Instagram and they could problem solve with you versus you having to send in an email and wait for a hopeful return.
Right. Instagram really doesn't have customer service help.
They don't.
Neither
and
does
the one
Facebook.
that they had there, I mean, there was times where they called me. So they do have that, but then you worry about they could barely speak English and they barely understand you, and then I'm getting frustrated the whole time. You know, their telemarketers or whatever are probably from like the Philippines or something,
Right.
where it's like their English isn't the greatest. They could pay them the bare minimum, so it's like it almost didn't benefit me at all because I'm getting just as frustrated speaking to someone as I would be as I wasn't talking to anyone at all.
Yeah. When I look at someone's page and I see they have, 200,000 followers, and then I go to their content and whether they've turned likes off or not, and I see like, their most 5 recent posts have like 3 comments, 1 comment, 1 share, I'm immediately like, this is fake. And it makes me feel bad for them. Like, why are you trying to put on this facade? But I think the majority of people still find credibility in how many followers you have. Like, oh, they have a blue check mark and 200,000 followers, so this person has status and power. But it's like, if you just investigate for a fraction of a second.
Well, remember you said how many people are investigating.
Right.
Right? Like if you went on someone's page right now and you saw they had 1 million followers, are you looking at their posts and saying like, oh, what is this generating or what's this getting? I will say with the algorithm changing over the years, my comment engagement is significantly less than what it used to be. I used to get hundreds of comments. Now it's less. I mean, I still get videos that hit millions of views and they only have 100 comments.
Yeah.
Back then, if you were doing that, you'd be having thousands of comments. So I think the big thing now is the shares, the reshares. Those are telling you the activity level in which somebody's operating, because there is times where I've seen videos of somebody or even myself having a high view count for a video and the comments aren't very high. Maybe it's just overstimulation with the platform now. Remember back in those days, it was like when we're talking about the 2012 to 2015 versus now, it's like so many more less consumers and more competitors that there's less people commenting, more people just scrolling through shit, maybe as ideas or whatever, that no one's actually engaging with people's stuff the way that they used to.
Or that like now there's just the reel tabs. So I don't even like reels when I'll share that before I'll like it.
See?
And I'll just keep going and just.
And I think I've told you, like, I pride myself more on the reshares and the shares than I do the likes itself, because that takes way more effort for someone than just to like it and carry on, or even comment for that matter. Like you said, though, you don't even do either of those. You just reshare, if anything.
Right. And then my inbox is flooded with people giving me reels, and I'm like, I don't even watch reels, so don't send them to me, please.
Oh, you have friends sending them?
I tell people all the time I don't watch reels. I don't like to get caught up in 30 minutes of my time is gone. If I watch reels, it's really rare if it's on my page, but I won't go to the reels tab. I won't sit there and watch reels. I won't watch reels that people send me, because if I sat there and watched all the reels that my friends send me in one day, I would be sitting on my phone for several hours just watching reels.
Yeah, see, I don't think I have a lot of friends like sending me stuff like that.
If I send you one, it's really, really,
there's a reason.
There's a real reason, but I don't send I'll get 20 a day from the same person, and it's just like, yeah, that's funny, but I'm not wasting my time.
I wonder if they're just sending it to everyone. Like, see, for me, it would be like if I sent you something, there's significance attached to it that you would relate to.
Yeah.
Not just me sending one because I thought it was funny that you would think it was funny too. And I think a lot of people do that,
I think it's hard. This is not our topic, but I think it's hard for people to set boundaries with Instagram and social media, because it's so easy to stay on the platform and stay on the app. Or like even we were talking about earlier, like this is something that irks me too. If someone doesn't respond to my text, but I saw that they watched my story, I get annoyed. But like sometimes I'll be like, what are you doing? Like, how come, what? And then I feel crazy, but it's like we separate the two, but they're one and the same. And it's just like,
now, do you feel you feel that way, do you feel that's appropriate to feel that way towards the situation? Because you know what I would do is if I hadn't responded to your message, I would make sure I'm not looking at your story.
Yeah, exactly.
On purpose.
Exactly.
You know, like, because you're going to see it.
I would say it's not like, oh, I texted Devin 10 minutes ago. Let me go see if he watched my story. It's like, oh, I haven't heard from this motherfucker in like
All day.
All day.
But
But he watched all my stories. Yeah, then I would look. But I try also not to look who watches my stories because I feel like it can make me feel some type of way. I don't know. I feel like social media is just a manipulation tool. And I am pretty subject to that type of manipulation. So I set boundaries for myself because it can affect my self-worth of like looking at the likes or looking at the shares or comments. For some reason, I fell out of the algorithm last week. Everything I posted in the past week, nothing. Like, I made a post that I actually deleted last week because it only had like 30 likes after 2 days. I was like, I don't know what's going on with this post. Do I look
and I think that's a thing that you battle no matter what.
Yeah.
Like, I think even to this day, where I'll get up, you know, you put so much time and effort into your content creation, so that way you look at it that way, like, why didn't it perform? But I've also had to just remind myself, it's better to post consistently every single day and not worry about that than to not post at all because you're in your head. And I've been in plenty of those scenarios where I didn't post for days or weeks because I was in my head about what to post or is this going to perform well. And I think that tool of turning your likes off is good for that psychological mindset of like, you don't constantly see the numbers and reflecting your self-worth based off of, oh, this only got 10 likes, I'm only worth 10 likes.
Yeah.
You know, and I think definitely a lot of people get caught up in that nature.
Yeah. I guess that leads me to another bullet point that I have about creating your persona, your person versus your persona in being an influencer. And you have a lot of experience with this. It's like, so if you're not just like, I guess it could be like where you're a brand influencer. Like I have a friend who is a gymnast and she does all these types of brand deals. She'll get like Dove one week and then she'll get, you know, she got a gymnastics commercial where she was Martha Stewart another week, or like a Pepsi, and she's all over, but she's just like this cutesy little character and it's pretty much who she is, you know, at her core. Whereas there's other people who are creating a secondary person to be this person online and get these deals. And it's like, did you ever go through where you felt like there was a difference of who you are versus who you were online?
To an extent, I would say, because I mean, obviously, you know me for who I am as a day-to-day person, right? And obviously, if you treat Instagram like a business, there is going to be some sort of barrier where you're not being your authentic self to that way because you're not even talking about those depths. Mm-hmm. If I'm a fitness dude and I'm selling, you know, meal plans and all that, I'm not going to talk about my day-to-days consistently of my struggles and all that. I think a lot of people keep it where it's just strictly, you know, what I'm selling. So I think the persona thing is also big. I mean, look at it now. If I'm looking at myself, I feel like the Shredz days, I was being my authentic self in what I was representing for my lifestyle because I was just living my life and doing the thing. So I think that part of me stays. But when it comes to like selling stuff, you have to, in a way, change that and become a persona. Now I look at myself now with OnlyFans, somebody's going to come on my page and they're going to perceive me as all the things, right? I mean, I also already get perceived that regardless of what I'm doing for work, the tattoos, the whole nine. Oh, he's a douchebag. He's a this, he's a that. You know, girls, guys alike are going to say that. Now add the OnlyFans and how I market myself now. There's women on there all day. So someone would probably say, oh, he's not stable. He's just a fuck boy. He's this, he's that. So I think that comes with the territory. But for me, it is a persona for the workspace.
Yeah.
But it's not like I'll get DMs from dudes that are like, oh man, I wish I had your life. And at the end of the day, I'm like, but I'm not with these women all day long.
I would say you have a persona because you make it seem like every day there's another chick
so
in your
the
bed.
Shredz days would be less persona.
I would say it was more your lifestyle.
It was my lifestyle because I was showing the gym stuff, my cars, all those things.
Which
and I
is
was
things you were doing.
inspiring people to go after their goals, to live whatever lifestyle they want. Well, now, obviously, from the OnlyFans space, because I am essentially selling sex, it is a persona because my page is reflecting as if I'm with a woman every single day of every hour.
Yeah.
And that's not how it is. But from a marketing standpoint, to be successful and have this persona and be able to build it longevity wise, you have to be able to stack your content. So I definitely think now has a persona, which I, in a way, kind of like, because then if someone gets to know the real me, they know that that persona they perceive me as is the complete opposite of who I am. But how do you live what I'm doing and not have it be a persona?
I feel like, okay, that's like where I wanted to go because we were just actually talking about this. Like, this is still on brand with like influencing and whatever, because you're creating a brand. You're curating this King of OnlyFans person who is a part of you, but it is not an act, but it's like you have a character a little bit when you get into that mode. And it's like women who see you, who watch you, maybe someone who's interested in you. How do you detach and let them know, like, this is this persona, this is this person, and I'm still Devin, who's very different from that. And it's my work, and they cross blend, but like to maintain whether it's friendships or personal close relationships with someone you're trying to date, and them to be able to say, these aren't the same. You know what I mean?
How do I show that?
Yeah.
I think that anyone that comes through the door and spends time with me realizes very quickly that that's not who I am. So I think that barrier also helps me in weeding out people that would never be potentials of any nature, because they see that and they're already turned off or already perceive me in a certain light. But I think that the more depths you get, I mean, how many times did we hang out to realize that that wasn't my persona on Instagram, wasn't me?
Day one.
Correct. So I think that that's how I kind of treat it in that sense. And then the more I speak to someone, the more conversations I have, the more I explain how my work is done. That's where it pulls back the layers for someone to understand. But again, I mean, just like with girls too, now they could look at my Instagram and go, even with your stature now, and go, oh, I'm not his type.
Yeah.
You know, because of what you see on my social media. But to me, I'm not on there treating it like real life.
Yeah.
You know, and I've been doing this for a lot of years, where even in the Shredz days, I wasn't thinking, oh, I'm treating this like real life. At the end of the day, it is still work.
Yeah.
I don't mix the two in there. So, you know, with it now, I just think that people perceive what they perceive. And if that's enough to let them stay there and never get progression, well, then that's just kind of where we leave it. But I actually would rather somebody perceive me in a specific light and think the worst of me, and then meet me and realize everything they thought I was. I'm the complete opposite.
Yeah.
It's almost like I wouldn't want someone to go, oh, he's this, this, and this, and then they meet me and I'm exactly that.
Yeah.
There's some excitement and turn and twist to the idea of like someone seeing me and going, man, I thought you were this way, and you're the complete opposite.
See you for who you are.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I'm sure a lot of people deal with, you know, that type of persona being built too. But I guess it also depends on, you know, the workspace you're in. But there's also people that build this persona and then it like infests them, and then they actually become that persona.
Yeah. Yeah.
In real life too.
Yeah, and they don't know the line between what's fake and what's reality, and then they just are this person.
Because if you're doing the OnlyFans, how do you not build a persona to sell?
Right.
You have to, right? If I'm not showing what I'm selling as a product or whatever, then I'm limiting my potential of how much money I can make if I'm not showing it consistently on my page.
Right. Any brand, like if you're a mommy influencer, right? You're not going to be going and doing sexy photo shoots when you're trying to promote this new baby carriage or whatever moms do that I have no idea about.
Correct.
You know what I mean?
Unless you're like in your situation where you've said you've never really considered yourself an influencer in any way, so you've always just shown your life and whatever. You know, we talk about the stories and how the vast difference of like you post a ton of stories about just randomness, and mine is all strategic.
Yeah.
And I do it for a specific reason. You know, some people that's I guess the glory of Instagram. You can go on there and do whatever you want.
Mine's like a life journal. It's just whatever I want it to be.
Yeah, and so I think I've done this so long where I've taken the personal side out of it as more and made it more direct about it being a business approach because I'm trying to sell something. And I think when it comes to relationships too, I'm also very adamant to explain to them this is work, and I treat it that way. I'm not in there using it as a leisurely tool to be able to, you know, see what I can get out of it or opportunities with women or anything like that. It's strictly work.
Yeah.
And so I think when you do it long enough, you realize like, okay, this is just like that. You don't go to your workspace wherever else and treat it anything else other than work. So that's kind of how my mindset is when I'm on there.
I think Instagram and social media in general is such a big component of our lifestyles that we put so much weight on it, and it feels so personal, right? Like when someone attacks you on Instagram, it feels so personal sometimes because it's like, this is a part of me, my identity. Like how hard it was for me to change my Instagram handle. This was me and my identity. Whereas you've almost done it better, where you have this hard line separation where this is a tool that I use and this isn't a part of my identity. Mm-hmm. And I feel like so many more people fall in that latter category like I do, that this is a part of my identity. Like I got hacked once and I felt like my world was going to crumble. Like I was like, I've just lost everything that is a part of me. And it's like, not really. Like when you die, you don't take your social media with you. You know what I'm saying? Just like your money. But it feels so personal. So
Yeah, because we do attach our Instagram very personal, even if there's a persona attached to it.
yeah,
I think that's the reason why we feel that way when it comes to that too.
yeah. So this is another topic about like influencers, and this can be all brands, right? Whether it's fitness, mommy stuff, hair stuff. I don't know. There's tons of different influencers, car people, but like people who are enhancing themselves. This mostly falls into fitness and not being transparent about it. And I know that you kind of fell into that a little bit, but whether it's like, let's just touch on like PEDs. I would say the average gym goer, the average person doesn't know and understand who is enhanced and who isn't enhanced. And it's like, sorry to burst your bubble, 99% of the people you're watching online that you subscribe to are enhanced. Like they're taking the juice. And I remember it was a rude awakening for me the day that I found out all my idols are on drugs. And I was like, oh, I really thought that I could get there without it.
Now, what made you think that? Like, because I think I don't know if it's because I got into the influencing at that time period where it was right out the gates. Because I always knew who was and who wasn't because I was doing it.
Yeah.
You know, like you were the other side of the spectrum where you weren't doing it out the gates, so you were perceiving it as like, oh, get this meal plan from this person, and I'm gonna look just like them.
Yeah, I was into fitness for like 10 years. I was never introduced to anyone or was up close to PEDs until I met Steven. And Steven's a science experiment.
So even on the yes, even when it comes to PEDs and that in general, like I think that the early stages of social media, people were very much afraid to be transparent in that nature. Like when I first took steroids, I remember saying to myself, like, I felt people made me feel some type of way that I was taking it like I was cheating. And so there was this like taboo around like, I'm not going to openly say I do it, but I'm also not going to say I don't either. I'm just going to leave that ground. I remember there was times where people would ask me and I didn't know them and I would just lie and say no, that I don't take them because I didn't feel they needed to know. Yeah. Now it's like, I don't know if that's because Instagram's evolved.
I think the culture has changed around it.
You know, now there's a little bit more. I mean, there's still non-transparency. Like some people still are lying about stuff, but I think there's more people that are. And I've attributed to saying to myself, there was back in those days, I was always afraid to be honest because of how people would perceive it. And now I just don't care. I don't give a fuck. And so I say exactly what I don't say to an extent because I don't want people to replicate, but I tell people. And the crazy part is like that transparency, it floods people to ask me questions. Yeah. You know, so I also relate the OnlyFans and being transparent of my work persona. It gravitates people to me because I am being honest. Like, yes, there's a persona with the OnlyFans and what I'm putting out there, but I'm also being honest about what I'm doing. Yeah. You know, like when we talk about meal plans and how, you know, there's a lot of coaches out there, or even OnlyFans girls that they're not running their account. Right. No one's openly saying that. A lot of people are just not saying anything at all. And so I think there's those barriers. And I've learned a lot in my time period. And I think that's what I love about OnlyFans is I am being authentically me in my persona.
Right. Right.
You know, like some people in their persona, they're not being authentically themselves. Right. That's what I love about what I'm doing right now is everything I'm posting is authentically me in this persona. I'm not fabricating anything. Go buy this. This is what you're getting. You know, exactly. You know, you do these brand deals like we've talked about. Like when I was with Shredz, it's like all those supplements we had, they were to cater the newbies. Yeah. The people that have never taken supplements. Well, at that time, I'm taking steroids. So why would this fat burner work for me if I'm taking Clen? Right. You know, it doesn't make sense. But I can compare the two and say, you're a newbie. This Shredz product, Fat Burner, is very equivalent to Clen, but not as severe. Yeah. You know, so that's how I always tailored my stuff. But a lot of the people now, it's like they're doing the extremes and then selling something that's less than. Yeah.
I think there's a double-edged sword of social responsibility when it comes to proclaiming your status as natty or non-natty, because someone can look at that who idolizes you and was like, I need to get on drugs immediately. And it's like, you're now a brand representative for PEDs when you were just trying to be truthful. And then there's the other side of lying and saying, I don't do this because I don't want that social responsibility of having young kids look at me and trying to do steroids before they're ready, or being irresponsible and taking them because they're dangerous. And it's like, well, now I'm telling people I have this physique or the strength that I can't get without these enhancements. So I definitely see both sides of the coin. Like I've always tried to be transparent with saying it as well, because I was one of the best powerlifters in the world. And I wouldn't have been able to get to where I was without performance enhancing drugs, although I was one of the best before I ever took it as well. So it's a little bit of both.
Now, where do you feel the change happened? Is it because more people are on Instagram doing the same thing, so it's more talked about, that people feel more open to have the conversation about being transparent? Because I do feel that there is more transparency, even though there's still people not being fully transparent. There's more of it. Like when we talk about, the days of having being an online coach and having an assistant and all these other things.
I think it's access to PEDs specifically. It's access to the information. Like now you can search and find all of it. Whereas before it was like those deep Reddit forums, access to people posting
Even
that they're doing it. Yeah. Access to purchasing it is pretty easy nowadays. Whereas before it was just the CD, the biggest dude at the gym. That's who you would go ask, the CD guy, right? And he would tell you to take some shit, and then your dick wouldn't work. You'd have gyno, and you'd be like, "Well, this is great. I gained 20 pounds." You know what I'm saying? But like now, it's like because fitness culture and influencing is such a huge market. And Instagram has grown so much from that 2012, 2015 days, fast forward 10 years, so many more people know about it, which is a good and a bad thing. Like I own a gym. I have kids that are 17, 18 years old who are like, I want to be on trend. And they want the results now because they're used to living in a world where everything is done so rapidly. And unfortunately, there's so many huge consequences that can come from that. And as we know, everyone a lot of times that's influencing is only showing you the best parts of what's going on with their life. You don't know how they really feel. You don't know what's going on behind closed doors. You don't know what they're dealing with, but they make it seem like everything's wonderful. So of course I want to be like that and look like that and act like that.
And see, I think when I'm on Instagram, I know that that's what it is because I've been doing this so long, and the normal person isn't viewing it that way. I mean, even when it comes to posting stuff, like posting you at your best. Yeah. I remember I didn't want to ever film a workout video if I wasn't super shredded because I'm marketing myself. Yeah. And who's going to buy my product if I'm a little bit watery or in a bulking phase or don't look as appealing? And so I made it a point where, and I still to it, I guess with my content now, it doesn't necessarily matter too much about how my physique looks. But when I was in my peak days of selling in hardcore fitness, I would only post if I looked a certain way.
I mean, you're shredded all year round.
Yeah, but okay, so you see it that way. Think about also in the mindset that you have for yourself of like, yeah, you think I look that way, but how do I feel I look in comparison to wanting to post something? Right. And I think that is another toxic thing about the fitness culture too, is even to now is like people won't post themselves shirtless unless they look some type of way. Right. And especially if it's from a marketing standpoint, they want to make sure they look their best.
Or they which is,
but that's the norm too now. It's like, I think I didn't tell this story, but like even when I work with these girls for OnlyFans and I'm doing the rundown of the reels and we're doing the pictures together and all that, I have said this, and it's so mind blowing that I've said this because I lived in a generation years ago where I was shunned for this. I mean, I was trying, they pretty much told me I should go kill myself for something like this. But I've told girls, hey, listen, I'm going to edit this photo and I'm going to do the filters, no actual physical editing, like no Facetune, right? I'm going to do all to make it look nice and clean and all that. Hey, if you got some, sweatiness or from the makeup, it's got the shine or whatever, I'll blemish it all, the whole nine. Now, when I'm done, I'm going to send it to you. And if you need to make personal adjustments, AKA Facetune, do what you got to do. Then send it back to me, and that's what we're posting. I'm not what's the word? I'm not influencing and condoning the behavior, but I just want everyone to feel comfortable. And I know that space and how that is. So, and it's so crazy how many girls are like, oh my God, thank you so much. Like, I appreciate that. That tells you how many girls are doing it on a consistent basis. So it's just mind blowing that I'm having these conversations with people that I'm working with, and they all understand it because that is the norm now. Like everyone is. I mean, you get surgeries and you're still editing.
I also feel like you said something that was pretty profound the other day in regards to this specifically, like just, you taking a picture on your phone and editing it, whether you're doing like, changing the filters, the lighting, removing whatever. You're like, when you get a professional photo, it comes back edited, right? And you don't blink twice
about it. Even more edited.
Right. And editing doesn't always have to mean that you're changing your body, but I would say a lot of fitness influencers do.
Well, I remember I worked with a really top tier photographer. Jason Ellis is what his name was. He was huge in the fitness industry. He'd get you on the cover of all the magazines, and back then when that was such a big thing.
Yeah.
And I remember I did a shoot with him, and he changed me in different ways. Facial structures, like added more muscle places. And how do you not look at that and go, wow, I really like how I look there.
Right.
And then the mind continues to want to look that way. And that's why I say to this day, it became a sickness, is how I treated it. Like I was constantly trying to beat the best of myself.
And that wasn't even, really you.
Correct.
Yeah.
And it just all started by somebody, gassing up a picture of you. So, and I think photographers do it the worst. I mean, some people don't even really take good photos. Their edits are just so good.
Yeah.
Like you get a photographer takes a picture of you and you get it back and you're just like, oh my God, this is amazing. But how much edit went behind that?
Right.
And I am one of those people now where I try to keep my pictures very, very authentically structured. No over editing of any nature. I don't do the photoshopping anymore. To me, it's like I learned my lesson, and there's something empowering of being able to say, hey, this is me.
Yeah.
And I can live with it now. I went through all those, traumatic times where people made me feel some type of way, but I know that we're all on our own journey in a different way.
Yeah.
And so some people haven't lived the lives that I've lived to endure this stuff, and so they're not there. So I'm not going to make them feel some type of way. And I think a big thing too with women is a lot of women are insecure.
Yeah.
And so they do care about people's opinions, and they're getting, people commenting all day online. So I can understand where they want to perfect themselves in some way. To each their own. I don't really give a fuck. If it makes you happy, so be it. I'm not promoting something on my page, showing a girl and saying, oh, look how lean she is, buy some product. So I don't feel some type of way that if it gets changed, that it's a personal thing for them.
Yeah.
And I know it makes them feel good. So I think that's the big thing too, is like everyone's on their own personal journey as far as how much they feel they need to edit themselves or do. I mean, I've edited your photos. It's just about making it nice and clean.
Yeah.
And I've told girls, hey, I'm editing it from a male's perspective of what I would want to see if I was looking at females' pictures.
Yeah.
But it's just crazy how many people are still in that mindset and how that's normalized on a consistent basis.
Well, there's a whole counterculture against editing, like Goob style people who call people out who it happened to you for promoting a fake, influencing with a fake promotion.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's when it's deserving to call out, especially when you're promoting, look at my diet plan, look at my this.
Or like a booty program,
yes.
and you're
editing your ass.
Correct.
Yeah, for sure. I remember I've never changed my body. I've messed with my nose before I got my nose surgery to see what it was going to look like. I remember one time I had this picture of me at the beach and I was like, my butt looks so flat. Because as much as I work out, this girl's ass is just, I got no ascites, And I edited it and I made myself this voluptuous butt. And then I had this reality check moment with myself. It was like a year ago. And I was like, what are you doing? What are you doing? I think it's so easy to be influenced into wanting to do that, but it's like I'm just lying to myself because that's not who I am.
And I think a lot of that too is also people making you feel less than. I mean, what if you didn't have an ass? There's so many people on Instagram that are making you feel like shit because you don't have one.
Right.
So as much as it's taboo to do it, it's also being influenced because people are making other people feel some type of way.
Yeah.
And not everyone is strong. That's why I said what I endured was something that I feel like I was put in that situation because I was able to endure it. But I feel like if a lot of people were in my scenario, they would have committed suicide 100%.
Yeah.
It wouldn't have been up for discussion. There's people now that get a minimal amount of hate and that deteriorates them because they feel some type of way that people are so hateful.
Yeah, that's the next point I wanted to touch on is influencers who just fall off the map overnight, whether it's due to pressure or maybe their algorithm changed and they're not getting as many, followers and likes and their engagement is down. They gained weight. Women who have babies and stuff, now it's you can't be in the industry you were in. So what do you do? What do you do? Do you pivot? Do you find something else? Do you keep trying to force, a square peg into a round hole? And it's a lot of people, you're probably the exception to the rule. So many people would have fallen off and they just would have never been seen or heard from again.
Yeah, and I mean, I think with Instagram too, you have to constantly pivot, whether it's staying in the same type of work or not. You do, because Instagram continues to evolve. There's more competitors now. You have to get in front of the game and do different things that makes you stand out. So I think that if you're not constantly evolving within your little niche, then you have to find other alternatives. I've always been one of those people where I just, whatever I'm passionate about and whatever my drive is, I pursue those things. And I've kind of different walks of life. Yeah, fitness has always been like my main thing when it came to, the longevity of it, but there's always been little things that I've picked up over time. So I think that if you're not evolving with the times when things are changing, and you're changing too, right?
Yeah.
I mean, even like with Paige, right? She was the hottest thing in fitness. Now she's older now. She's got 2 kids. You have to find yourself in that scenario and say, okay, I'm married. I'm no longer that hot, single, one, like the one that every dude wants.
Yeah.
So how do I pivot from here? And I know she does a lot of more like motherly
Mom
things.
stuff, yeah.
Correct. So I think that's part of it too, is like when this is your workspace, if you don't pivot and you don't change your ways,
You're gonna
then
be lost.
you end up, or you fall off. And then you're like, okay, what do I do now? I've been doing Instagram my whole life. How do I shift from this to doing normal things that's not Instagram related at all?
Right. I think one of the pitfalls of being an influencer, and this is just me with my business brain hat on, is when this is your career path and you're making all of this money, a lot of times you're getting 1099. You're not getting taxes taken out when you're getting these brand deals, getting these checks cut. You're not getting set up a 401k or retirement insurance. You're not getting and I'm not saying that the typical workforce structure is the path to success, but a lot of these people, especially young kids who are making all this money, all the money that you made, they're not saving a lick of it. They're putting nothing away, whether it's towards your future, towards investments, towards other long-term things that are going to set you up for success. And then what happens? Boom, one day it's all gone. Now you have no money. Now you have no career. You've been marketing yourself on your looks. What if you get in an accident?
Correct.
And now, but there's a flip side to that where sometimes people will like use and insert their trauma to try and boost their engagement, which sometimes I hate. Like, there's a lot of widows who do it. And like, I don't know if it's genuine or if they're just doing it for likes, but like, I actually personally know someone's page who like, it'll just be like her crying on the floor and like doing some crazy shit. And it gets like millions of views, but it's like,
for sympathy?
as a widow, I don't know, like maybe that's your process. Maybe I'm just being a hater, but like, I don't know, like people who fall off the wagon or do crazy shit and then they like insert that as a part of their process. Sometimes it's genuine and sometimes it's a cry for help and sometimes it's a last ditch effort to save their page. But a lot of these people I don't think have any other safeguards set up for themselves outside of just this world of social media. And that's what I hate. But how do you teach someone that? How do you insert into someone's life? Be like, oh, you're an influencer, like start a marketing agency and reach out to people like, I want to walk you through what investments look like and how to secure your future. No one thinks about that.
Yeah, because it's boring.
Yeah, it's not sexy.
It's not a fun thing to like showcase on Instagram. And I think that's also too is like your Instagram is a highlight reel. You know, like it's not real life at the end of the day. I'd say the vast majority of people are treating it that way too. Now that it's evolved and everyone's doing it, like everyone's only showing the best.
Yeah.
And so that kind of business model doesn't seem as appealing on Instagram. It's probably not going to get the same type of traction. So most people aren't going that direction.
Yeah. Yeah, it sucks. But you still are making a very successful life off of your Instagram. I will say that it helped me and Steven in the gym and grow our lives to where they were now, even though we didn't use it as much as a marketing tool. But I think for many people, Instagram is a huge part of their life in many different ways and areas.
Yeah, even if it's not a business venture. I mean, like you said, you haven't been using it that way, but it's still been a part of you since day one. I mean, even switching the veggie lifter was like a personal like change for you.
Yeah.
And you never treated Instagram so much like it was like solely a business thing.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah. So you've been an influencer for like 15 years ish?
Well, you said 20. Well, I think I started it when it was like 2011 or something.
Okay.
I remember. But again, back then it was like just to post a fucking random picture of something
like
that didn't even
meals.
make sense.
Yeah.
So I mean, yeah, the evolution's like insane how much people are utilizing it in different ways, and talking about how the algorithms change and how I mean, Instagram's also got smarter. They're not just making it accessible for you to be able to showcase yourself the same way. You know, chronological order is no longer a thing. That used to be such a heavy weighted thing, and I think that's why we heavily weighted on like the 30 minutes, because if I posted right now and you're on Instagram and you're on the feed, you're going to see it.
Yeah.
Now it's like you see something days later.
Yeah.
So I think Instagram's gotten smarter about, because I've always said to myself, like, man, they're just letting us make money for free. Like, why not just charge us month or yearly to have access to that and keep it the same model? But they obviously want to make more money, so they've changed, that mold. And I think that's another reason why we get in our heads, because you just said it best earlier when you said, like, it's all of a sudden, like, your stuff has not performed the same.
Yeah.
I've had numerous conversations with friends where I'm like, it's killing it, and then 2 weeks later, it's all of a sudden it's not.
Yeah, I had to look to see if I was shadow banned.
Yeah.
Shadow banning is a huge thing that can kill your business.
Correct.
And I'm not right now, but I'm just like, I must have fell off somehow, somewhere.
And some people don't even know how to investigate to know that you are.
Yeah.
You know, because people don't know the deep-ended stuff of how to access Instagram and all that. But yeah, I feel like that happens a lot too, is the constant like, and the mental, what it does to you mentally, you know, when you're creating all this content. I think sometimes my best content has been things that I put least amount of effort into.
Right, that you don't care about.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, look at your Steven viral video. Like, that one was the stupidest, like, didn't require any type of knowledge.
Yeah.
And that was your most viewed video.
Yeah.
You know, and it took, what, 5 seconds to film?
Yeah.
You know, versus going over here and going, hire a videographer and let's do a crazy edit for a video, and then it flops.
Yeah. And then it's gone.
Yeah.
And that's the one thing about Instagram too, as versus like YouTube or other platforms that are searchable, savable, shareable. When you post something on Instagram, it's pretty much gone unless you recycle that content or put it in a highlight. Like, I've had so many occasions where people are like, oh, have you talked about this before? I'm like, yeah, go find it. Like, I'm not looking for it, and because it's just gone. But I think influencing is a great culture, and I think it's equally as detrimental, but like, it's a necessary evil. This is the life that we live in, and everybody uses it. I think Instagram pretty soon is going to be phased out to something else, because it's becoming so much of it's just
But
ads.
what would it phase to?
I don't know. I don't think it's going to be as popular for like what people are trying to do pretty soon, because there's just so much competition and not enough marketplace for that amount of saturation.
Yeah, it's been around so long, and there's been other platforms that have popped up, but nothing, you know, when I think of all the platforms, it's like I still resort back to Instagram.
Yeah. And people don't even really make money on Instagram. You can make money on Facebook. You make a lot of money on TikTok. It's like, why do we care so much about this app that really doesn't even reward us for caring?
Yeah, you have to market yourself properly.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you're not making any
You're
money.
not making it through the platform, but you're making it
through the platform outside
outside.
somewhere else. Yeah.
Yeah.
You're selling the product on the platform, hoping people are going to, you know, revert back to whatever you're selling.
Yeah. So the last thing I have is like, do you know anybody or have any influencers that you think like have done it right? Like longevity, you know, being right in the space.
I feel like when it comes to that, there's people where they've excelled, and then remember there's changes in that, and then they have to refine themselves. Like I'll give credit to Joey, you know, like I mean, he's built a culture for himself with what I see, you know, and how, and he pivoted where Shredz had that issue, and I remember he probably took it the worst out of everyone because he probably had the highest stake in there, and he was before anyone else, and I think he took a long time to find himself again and where his passions are. And Joey loves people, right? And I think he loves having those people love him too.
Yeah.
And he's a give and take type of person where it's back and forth. So it's like repivoting yourself to find your purpose again. Kind of similar to me with fitness. It's like, okay, this took its course. I had a traumatic thing happen to me. It really took a hit to my business. Am I going to continue to go down this road, or do I pivot to other things?
Right.
And I've pivoted to something different. Same thing with Joey. It's like now he's all about the gym culture and, you know, calling people out and, you know, making it a safe place. And deep down, I think it genuinely makes him happy.
Yeah. And he diversified. He has another company too with the sauces and all that.
What is it? The
Sauce Boss?
Something like that. Taste. I don't know what it's called.
I know, Tasty Co. I'm getting them all confused. There's a lot of sauces out there.
Yeah. So I think that.
Sorry, Joey.
I think there's times where people, you know, excel and then they have to pivot to something else, and that I think I have a lot of friends that have done well. I don't know if I've had someone where from start to finish they haven't changed their model at all and have continued to thrive and be flourishing in the initial thing they were doing. That's why I bring him as a reference. He's still staying in the fitness category, but he's no longer doing the workout videos he used to do. He's no longer selling a product to you directly. Like he's selling that gym culture and getting people to buy into that. And then by nature, they're going and buying your content or buying your whatever you're selling because of the content you're putting out.
Right.
Just like for me, that's why I love the OnlyFans aspect. Outside of the taboo of what I'm selling, I like to be able to just feel like what I'm promoting and what I'm like making for content is diverting them to exactly what I'm selling.
Yeah.
Same thing with Joey's community. He's building something that makes them feel some type of way, so they come to him for that nature. So I don't think there's been one person that I know on the social media platform that hasn't pivoted it somewhere from where they started to now. You know, we talked about Paige and how she's pivoted to something else, but I don't think there's been one person
that's
there's
been the
one
same.
person that I've
Besides
seen
like Tony Robbins. he's
But
pretty set.
I feel like people like him that are in that type of realm, when they got on Instagram, that's who they were from the beginning
Yes.
already.
Yeah.
You know, so they didn't have to change.
They
Like
were their person. There was no persona.
We built our person and persona, or whatever you want to call it, off of Instagram. So we started there. So at some point that longevity potentially changes and you have to shift. He was already Tony Robbins before he got on Instagram, and he was probably already doing the speak to the masses and everything like that. So it was almost like that was his job before Instagram.
Yeah.
So that was his identity there.
My favorite is Damazetti, Mike Tribonowski. I forget. I don't know how to say his last name. Damazetti. You don't know Damazetti?
Is that the guy that does the funny videos?
Yes.
You know, he used to talk shit when we had the Shredz thing.
Really?
He was on that wave.
Really?
Yeah, I think I've seen him. He kind of has a very distinctive voice.
Yeah, but that's not his real voice. That's a total persona. And then
when he's like, "Oh yeah," and he's like talking like that.
He's like the girls and the yeah. He still does those videos, but now he has a clothing line and he has like his own brand and he's diversified and all that stuff.
But the big thing on that is we have to evolve because now there's more competitors.
Yeah.
Before, like in those markets, what you were doing, I could, if it would have stayed this way for the next 10 years from then to now, I wouldn't have had to pivot.
Right.
Because everyone would be eyes on me for everything. But now it's like I said, the fitness influencing thing, it's like you're competing with so many other people. And at that time, I didn't have the best physique around. I was just the one showing it the best way on a public platform. Now you're seeing, like we talked about with the steroids, kids at 17, 18, 19 taking steroids and having all this knowledge. By the time they're 21, they're jacked as fuck. I was never that big at 21.
Yeah.
You know, and then they're being able to broadcast themselves. So I think just the overall evolution, it doesn't allow people to necessarily stay in one realm of their liking the entire time without having to.
And you get burnt out. I'm sure you got burnt out.
I've had definitely a lot of times. I mean, people don't think about that too, is the weight of constantly showing up every single day, the burden of feeling like you have to post every single day, the commitment that comes with that.
Yeah.
There's so much that goes behind that. I mean, I've told you, I mean, with the editing we do for this, the stuff that I do for my I mean, there's times where I'm literally staring at the screen, just my brain is like in all different directions, and I have nothing to do. Like I don't know what to do.
Yeah,
you know,
so
like that
paralyzed.
definitely becomes a thing too, is, you know, finding where you're not obsessively on an app all the time. And I think that's why I use it for work only, because it's objective related.
Yeah.
I'm not on there work and then I'm also like scrolling and that, because then you just get brain dead over time. And
yeah.
it can consume you, definitely. You're good at finding time to, you know, structure that. I think that's another thing that they've added, where you can schedule posts.
Yeah.
And being able to do that, because now you don't feel like you have to be on your phone in order to post.
Yes. Yeah. That's what I try to do. I need to make boundaries with it, or I'll be on it way too much.
Yeah.
Way too much.
And especially if you use it for the leisurely, that has more opportunity to be tempted to watch shit for whatever reason. I mean, it's no different than YouTube, and people spend hours just watching video after video after video. Nobody's doing, you know, a lot of like outside events anymore. It's just everything's fixated around your phone. So it definitely can be a toxic place for so many different aspects of it. But what was the one thing that you wanted to ask the audience?
We want to ask you guys what you want to see, what you want to hear.
I think that was one of our big things, right? We're coming up with different ideas of stuff that we're going to put on the pod. A lot of it is more like kind of situational, based off of conversations we have.
Yeah.
But we would love to get your input. We've been getting a lot of great feedback from you guys as far as just what you already have been seeing and what you've appreciated from it. So I think it's like, all right, we want to give to you guys to be able to get access to hearing more detailed stuff like what we're talking about now, but like more topic specific to things. I know mental health is a big thing for a lot of people. So I know that's definitely one of the things that we'll kind of jump into more too, but we would love to get, you know, your guys' overall feedback on, you know, different topics that maybe you guys are stuck with, right? I think there's a lot of people that think about things, but they look for other people to give them
different perspective.
Correct.
Yeah. So drop a comment. We'll put some question boxes up in our stories and on the podcast story, which is Tell No Lies Podcast. Our YouTube,
Instagram?
Yeah, Instagram, Tell No Lies Pod is our website. Tell No Lies Podcast is YouTube.
You know, when you're saying it, it's like, how do you say it so fluently when it's the same word, but then small little changes? So it's like Instagram at Tell No Lies Podcast, website tellnoliespod.com, right?
We're just going to keep rolling with it.
Yeah, it'll work at some
Devin
point.
Physique, Ashley Contorno.
Yeah, we appreciate you guys. Thank you for tuning in on this episode. We will be back next week, as always, for another one.
Yeah.
We'll see you guys. Peace.
Bye.